Savvy Giving Gal podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Torilli-Smith, and today I'm joined by Megan Eddings, an inventor, visionary entrepreneur, keynote speaker, and what some would call a human attractor. Megan is the founder of Accel Lifestyle and the creator of the science-backed fabric inspired by her background in chemistry and her passion for solving everyday problems like stinky laundry. But Megan is so much more than an inventor. She's a beacon of resilience and optimism, using her voice to empower others to lean into their purpose, embrace vulnerability, and unlock the transformative power of positivity. Her signature talk, Pivot to Positivity, has inspired audiences across the country, and today she is sharing that light with us. In this conversation, Megan opens up about the personal and entrepreneurial challenges she overcomes, how she stays grounded and joyful through it all, and why giving back is at the heart of everything that she does. This episode is a reminder that health, happiness, confidence, and kindness are your true superpowers. And sometimes the key to transforming your life isn't just a major breakthrough, but a powerful mindset shift. Megan, welcome to the podcast.
I mean, what an intro. I mean, I don't say anything after that. I mean, that was incredible. I'm like, who is that girl? Who is that girl you're talking about? Yeah.
Well, that girl is you. And honestly, what an amazing career you have had and continue to have. And it's exciting because Megan and I went to high school together many years ago in Coventry, Rhode Island. And, you know, when you started doing all of this work, like I just knew you were in your power because I've watched you as a child and you truly were a beacon of energy and light even back then. So it's exciting to see you carry that through your adulthood. There's so many facets of you, but I wanted to start with your keynote talk entitled Pivot to Positivity.
Yeah.
Can you define positivity from your perspective?
Oh, great question. You know, you're the first person to ever ask me that question. I would say positivity, you actually kind of touched on it in your introduction. It starts with a mindset. So it's a description of your mindset. So if you have a positive mindset, and not all the time, we're human. Like when people say like, are you positive all the time? I'm like, hell no. So it starts with your mindset. So positivity is basically getting rid of the negative thoughts, supplementing them with positive thoughts. And then the byproduct of all that is obviously you're a happier person and then you're more joyful for those around you.
Mm-hmm. You know, I love that kind of shift and focus on the shift in your mindset. But, you know, we all have these trials and tribulations and hardships, and especially with the world today, you know, it's a big part of our world. You know, how do you turn that into positivity? How do you take that pain and those hardships and the things going on in the world and shift your mindset?
I mean, it's funny. I didn't know how I used to do it. I remember I went through two specific things that happened in my life early on that were really, really challenging. And I definitely experienced dark days after it. But I remember kind of coming out the other side and just being positive. And then when I had my company a few years ago, I was asked to give keynote talks around the country about being an entrepreneur. And the number one question everybody would always ask me was not like, oh, how'd you raise money? You know, how'd you find a lab to, you know, work on your science? Like the question everybody would always ask me is, how do you stay so positive? And so it wasn't for like 2 years later that I was literally sitting outside on the couch and I thought, how do I stay so like what are there things that I do simple? I don't want anything like crazy. And so I put together like 20 positivity boosters. I don't do everyone every day, but they're quick things to kind of get out of your own negative headspace and just, you know, pivot to the positivity, if you will. And I'll give you an example of one. Just one. This is one that I actually used yesterday. Something happened yesterday. And I mentally wanted to slash this person's tires. But of course, that's not very positive. People are like, how do you stay so positive? I'm like, oh, I slashed like 10 pairs of tires in my head every day.
Right. I love
boosters,
it.
But it should be. And I started training myself when I talk about this. When you're in a funk, even for like a minute or the day, think of not three things that you're grateful for. I think that's too grandiose. 3 things specifically, like in the last hour or since you woke up that morning, that bring you joy. And it's amazing when you just think about it. The whole thing takes 5 seconds. It literally kind of gets you out of that little funk, and, you know, maybe I won't slash the remaining 3 tires.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just one example, but there's so many examples of just little tools and tricks you can do. And that's just one of them.
Right. Yeah, I love you sharing those little tools and tricks with the audience, because I think that many of us, we want to be positive and we want to make that shift, but we just don't know how to do it, and what do you say to people who are like, you're always so positive and you feel optimistic all the time, like, or you're too much.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Sure. I mean, my personality is not for everybody. Just like everyone's personality is not for everybody. And that's totally okay. That's like 3 years of therapy for me to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Therapist too. It's not for everybody. And that's okay. Because then I think to myself, well, it is for certain people. And maybe if someone says, oh, you're too much, you're too positive or whatever, okay, then turn me off. Or maybe you'll learn something that you don't use now in your life, you can't use, but shoot, 5 years from now, you might be like, oh, that one thing Megan said that sounded really crazy and wild and a little too optimistic for me. Maybe I can incorporate now, that into my life now. So I'm not for everybody at every stage of their life, and it's totally okay.
Yeah, I think that takes maturity to come to that, because I think only in my 40s now, I can't believe I'm admitting that in the podcast, but my 40s now I kind of come to
how old you are.
Yeah. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that. Right back at you. But that it's better to focus on the people who do find value in me and my kindness and the things that I'm doing in my life, versus focusing on the people who might not really have a taste for me as a person.
Totally. And it might only be a few people. I remember, like 8 years ago, my husband and I started a fitness charity. It wasn't even supposed to make money, just here in Houston. We find all the fitness instructors. They teach a fitness class. We raise money for a local charity. We did this many times. But the first few times, not many folks signed up. And I remember feeling defeated. Just no one's coming. And I remember my husband said something like, well, don't focus on, and I'll never forget. He's like, don't focus on people that aren't there. Focus on the people that are there. And I've carried that now years later into everything. Because really, at the end of the day, we just want to impact one person. One person's life. More would be great. But if one person shows up, then they're giving you the gift of their space. And so you can give the gift of your talents with them.
Yeah, I think that if you focus on one person at a time, affecting their lives in a positive way, then that's how change happens, right? I think when we look at it on a grand scale, sometimes it's almost like analysis by paralysis, or paralysis by analysis, where you don't end up doing anything. So I love that you just took it, one person at a time, and that you looked at it that way. And I love that, you took your knowledge in your business. And if you could just explain to the audience what your business was in terms of Accel Lifestyle, and use that for good in your community.
Yeah. And who would have ever thunk that being an entrepreneur, and now that when I sold my company, that I'd now be a public speaker on positivity. It's just the life is cool, but I wouldn't have been a positivity public speaker unless I went through Accel Lifestyle. So short story about Accel Lifestyle. Chemistry is my background. 10th grade, Coventry High. I took a intro to chemistry, and I loved it, and I happened to be good at it. Have me write one paragraph in English class, I'd probably get an F. I can't write a paper to save my life, but have me write a chemistry experiment, I'm all over, excited.
Love it.
So majored in chemistry, worked at Brown actually in a biochem lab after school, and then realized I'm way too outgoing to be in a lab the rest of my life. So moved to Houston. I've been here 21 years, selling medical equipment. Loved it. Relationships, Q outfits. They give you a car and a computer.
Yep.
I met this guy who's now my husband 10 years later, and his workout clothes smelled like what. And it was just horrible. And I grew up playing sports. I have 2 brothers. We all know the smell. And I just thought to myself, I remember I was selling MRI machines for $2 million, $2 million or $2.5 million for one MRI machine. And I'm not comparing MRI machines to clothing, but the idea is the thing. I'm I'm selling this for what? And we don't have workout clothes that don't stink. And I'm not going to say I was that confident the moment I had the idea. I had the idea, and I kind of just went to Google and started researching, and I found who knew there were textile scientists. So I found some online, reached out to them, and then ... took about 3 years to invent the fabric. And I filed for the patent back in 2018. sold the company last year to a group out in Australia. But because my entrepreneurial story, actually, it's funny, during COVID, someone just like this, someone said, but actually I know you, someone I don't know, a friend of a friend of a friend of 2020, they said, hey, can we interview you? We're interviewing entrepreneurs for a podcast. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I don't know these guys at all. And I think because of the massive amount of stress everybody was under during COVID, like those first few months,
yes,
they would ask me questions about entrepreneurship. And usually people are pretty, my opinion, soft in their answers. They're not giving you the real skinny. So I started bringing up the shit, like just the challenges and like things about my story and like how I got to where I am. And it went pretty well. I mean, I got actually speaking. My first speaking gig ever was someone said, hey, I saw your talk. Can you come be our keynote speaker at, the first medical conference we have when COVID lifts? I'm like, yeah. And I was petrified when they uploaded that video because of things that I had said. Because I mean, we were raised like most people, I'll say in our generation, is that like the projection of perfection, everything's going great. And it's totally BS. I mean, do I have a very life? 100%. Do I struggle every day with, anxiety, a little bit of sadness or whatever? 100%.
Right.
But I've, learned the tools to tap into it, to just kind of keep them moving.
I'm so excited to share today's sponsor, Vitality Bowls. Not only is it our go-to restaurant for clean, allergy-free acai bowls, smoothies, wraps, salads, paninis, and more, all made with organic granola and organic acai, but it's also an incredible franchise opportunity. With over 70 locations nationwide, Vitality Bowls offers entrepreneurs a chance to own a business that prioritizes health, quality, and community impact. Plus, Vitality Bowls is giving my listeners an exclusive discount of $1,000 off the initial franchise fee. Just email franchise@vitalitybowls.com and mention the Savvy Giving Gal podcast for more details. And I think that sharing that with the world is what the world needs to hear. I mean, it is funny you brought up how we grew up, because really in our childhood, like you kind of had to man up and everyone was really honest, I feel like. And, I mean, there's probably bad things about that as well, like in terms of the sensitivity around mental health and things like that. But I do think it prepares you for the world because it's not all roses. Like you didn't just go into a lab and poof, like this fabric came up. Like there were trials through that time, and you decided to take the route of positivity when you were doing that. And that's a choice, right? Like that's a choice in our life with the tools that you're sharing in your talk. So what types of tools, when you go and do this pivot to positivity talk, are you sharing with these groups of people?
Yeah. And like so the pivot to positivity, that's the title. But the opening, like the first half of all my talks are different. It is dependent upon who the audience is. For example, I did a marketing and advertising annual luncheon a few weeks ago. And I love science. The first half was all about data around branding and marketing and how quickly you can make a first impression, how many thoughts you have per day. But it's little things. I mean, I think also because I'm a science mind, once you realize, just like lifting weights, because you have beautiful muscles, by the way, once you lift weights, you grow and transform and change your muscles. It is the exact same thing for your brain. As you do these tools and tricks, and I'll give a few of them, positivity, it actually changes the makeup and the neuro pathways in your brain. So the more you're training the positivity, the more positive thoughts you think. Okay, I gave the one. I would say one of the biggest things people need to analyze: what is their morning routine? When that alarm goes off, and I mean that's been transformative for me. What I used to do is wake up to I don't even beep beep beep, whatever came with the standing with the cell phone. I wouldn't even be out of bed. My mouth guard would still be, lodged in there. And I'd grab my cell phone and go right to work emails. And once you get into that, I mean, I'm sure there's so much psychology around it, but once you get into that habit, all of a sudden now you're just enclosed. Even if you have kids or your husband or spouses, like all you're focused on really, even though you're there for your family, but are those work emails. Because I'm sure the work emails aren't all, oh, Megan, you're doing an amazing job. Keep it up. So first thing I say is, what do you wake up to? Choose a song that has some significance to you. And that's a beautiful way to wake up. And the second thing, 10 minutes. I'm not saying like go for now, if you want to go for a 20-mile run, that's fantastic. 10 minutes, read something, listen to a mindful meditation. I'm reading The Pursuit of Happiness. It's been taking me probably 5 months, but I read maybe a page and then I think about it and I think about my own life and like, how does that apply? So your morning routine is very, very, very important. I mean, to dive into bed, and even my brother, for example, he gets up for work at 4:00 in the morning. And he has to be in work really early and he's always stressed. He's just always stressed. Yeah. And so he actually started doing this for 10 minutes and just listening to a podcast, like the Calm app is what I gave him. And he's like, I can't believe 10 minutes. And it totally shifts my perspective. And as crap is thrown at you during the day, you're not as quick to respond in a negative way. So that's just one, a couple little things. Another thing, which takes more time, but I think the reward is far supersedes the time it takes, is volunteering. Volunteering is, I've been doing it since high school. It is, and people say I don't have time, or I don't really, not that I don't like to help people, but I have so much going on in my own life, and I have kids, and I would say bring the kids. Like, go to a soup kitchen. There's so much need in every city and town. And a beauty, Melissa and I were talking about beforehand how our disdain for social media, but there are some, positive things about it. Because everyone's so active, you can find a bazillion different volunteering opportunities in your town and state. And just commit to go once a month. I mean, I always think when you're starting something new, even like the morning, don't read for 10 minutes, read for 3 minutes, like just everything, make it an attainable goal. But volunteering for me, 100% has become, one of the most joyous things that I do to keep my positive mindset and just really, really appreciate life.
Mm-hmm. Well, clearly that last one, I love my morning routine. And I think the stillness, as you mentioned, in whatever form, is something that is so valuable in this hectic world. But to go back to the volunteering, I got goosebumps because I really feel so strongly. And like you said, whether you have kids or you don't have kids, involve them, don't involve them, but start a routine of doing that. And it almost takes the focus off of your life, and it just creates this dopamine and this joy. And I think starting small once a month, but I have really felt like my weekly volunteering has just brought up my life to a whole other level. And I would encourage all the listeners to do that. And like you said, no matter what your job is or how busy you are, there is time for that, and again, you don't have to do it on a big scale. You can do it right in your community with their people. Every community has people who need your help.
Yeah. And one thing, it's an interesting question. I've talked about volunteering quite a bit, just even in my personal life. And something that's interesting, I've gotten the question more than I would have expected. Well, how do I know where to get started? And I'm like, that's an interesting question. And so what I say is, and for all the listeners, if you like dogs, go pet a dog at a shelter. If you like old people, call the nursing home. Can you go read in the common area? Like, these are all things that so think about, do you like food? I don't know, a soup kitchen. So think about something that you already kind of like, children, whatever it is. And then there is a volunteering thing, just Chat GPT, Google. And that's like the best way to figure out, kind of hone in what you may actually enjoy. But I'm telling you right now, and I know you agree 100%, you think you're starting the volunteering to help somebody else or help something else, which you are. Hell no. What you get back for your own mindset and your own appreciation for our life far supersedes anything you could be doing for them, in my opinion. Yeah, it's an incredible just journey, experience. Yeah, pivotal for my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing that I'll add is find the people in your life who already volunteer and ask them how. Because it is true. I've gotten that even with, because I've been in the nonprofit sector for a long time and people are like, well, I don't know what to do. And it seems so natural for some people and that's fine. But go to those people who it is more natural for and ask for their help. Like go with them, a couple of times to wherever they volunteer. And then you'll almost naturally start to understand how to do it on your own. So, I would say that. And then back to the positivity piece, it truly does shift the focus away from, some of the more hard things to a more positive, grateful mindset of your own life, because there's always someone out there that has it worse off than you do, and you have the power to help them.
Yeah, it just, I like the expression, your attitude of gratitude. It just completely enhances your attitude of gratitude.
Feeling good inside and out is so important to me, and that's why I love shopping eCosmetics. They offer the best in beauty from all of the top brands with great prices, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guaranteed. It's my go-to for everything beauty. Head over to ecosmetics.com and use my code SAVVY25, that's SAVVY25 at checkout to get 25% off your purchase. Hey travel lovers, it's Melissa. Traveling with my family to explore new cultures brings me so much joy. And all business class travel can make it even better with their top-notch personalized service. Use promo code SAVVY, that's SAVVY, to get complimentary Black Car Airport transfers. All business class travel makes it easy to focus on what really matters, cherished memories. Visit allbusinessclass.com and start planning your next incredible journey. You do describe yourself as a human attractor, which I love. And I would also describe you as that even from a young child, because I've known you for a very long time. Do you think that you were born that way, or do you feel like it's a conscious choice every day to put that energy in the universe?
I would like to say that I work at it every day and I've studied how to do it. It took me years of college education to figure out how to get people to like me. I was born like this. I mean, but even though I was born with the basic tools, there are certain things that I realized that I wrote an article about it yesterday that I can improve upon to make people feel more welcome in my presence. But I was one of those kids that I remember, and even like in college, people just tell me things. And I don't mean like women that look like me. I mean like grown ass men that look nothing like me. And they're telling me their deepest, darkest secrets. And I'm like, so I'm sure there's a whole science around it. But there's something that people feel, which makes me feel really happy, safe to kind of just be in my presence and tell me things. And well, it's always going to be a good time when you're around me too. So I'm sure that's, but I will say my husband is the complete opposite. He is 100% an introvert. I mean, I couldn't marry someone like myself. And it's been really cool over the 10 years. And I'm not training him how to talk to people because he's like, Meg, I don't want to talk to anybody. But now I'll see him like have these little conversations like at the grocery store or something. And he now tells me like how good it makes him feel to make someone else smile. And it's on the smallest scale. And it's been really cool to witness that over the years.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. And what kind of, I guess, suggestions would you give introverts to become more comfortable stepping out of that, and to feel the joy of what it's like to kind of have the energy you and I have.
Sure.
We're very similar.
And I would say, I guess I'll first start off by saying, because I've never been an introvert, I don't understand that mindset, but there's a lot of power. I mean, I've done a lot of reading and business leadership of introverts, even though they're quiet, their skill set is, really, really unique. But what I would say is, like anything in life, start small. If you're at the grocery store and you pass somebody, actually, I'll give you an even easier one because I do this all the time. If you're at the gym and you like somebody's sneakers, we all like, we all try to look cute at the gym, just like work out better, even just get ourselves to the gym. Like, hey girl, I love your sneakers. I mean, there was a girl at the gym on Monday. It's not totally appropriate, but whatever. So I walk into my Zumba class and her t-shirt said future MILF. And I'm like, I don't know who you are right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yesterday she and I met at a class. Yeah. She shares that she just lost 200 pounds. So she's on this massive health weight loss journey. And so it made me feel really good that her t-shirt, me just making a compliment, that then I was able to share a space for her yesterday to share her struggle with weight, but then her success with losing weight. When she lost it, she got pregnant and her baby's downstairs right now in daycare while she's working out. So the little compliment, the smallest thing, you just never know how you're going to make the other person feel. But for an introvert, small compliments. Another one, very, very easy, walking in a hallway. And, a lot of times we as humans, if you're approaching somebody, you kind of put your head down, your body language, just say hi. Just say hi and give a smile. Keep walking. It feels awkward. It does. But a hi and a smile, no one's going to punch you in the face. You're going to,
right.
They're going to, it might even inspire them to do the same thing. So yeah, start just little compliments or a hello, and then just kind of build from there.
Yeah, I love those suggestions so much. What do you hope Pivot to Positivity, what kind of message do you hope that spreads, and where do you hope that goes in the future?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Another question no one's ever asked me before. I have seen what it has already done for audiences. When I give keynotes at conferences, the funny thing is, like, getting up on stage, I kind of black out and I just say a bunch of things, usually some cuss words and, whatever. And thank God I have like a PowerPoint to keep me on track. But the real joy is at the end when I stay there and there's like a breakout. I always want a breakout session right after, like 15, 30 minutes, and people have the space to share. You touched on it earlier. Actually, you didn't touch on it. You said it. I'm only going to speak for Americans because it's where we live. There's so much stress in our lives and so much of the comparison game. And just feeling like you don't have enough, or, you're the only one going through your challenging situation. And my talk, I hope, and I've experienced, actually does give people not only tools and tricks to live a more positive life, but shows them that I'm human. Because I share with my dad tragically passed away years ago, and my roommate in college passed away from cancer, that, I'm not up here like, hoorah, rah. I've gone through some shit and I've gotten to the other side, and I figured out that our tools that I use. And so I'm glad that I can share those tools. So in a very short answer, to sum it up, I just want to bring joy to more people, but not only have them feel good, but give them actual tangible steps and actions, small ones that they can take just to live a more positive life and just be happier. Because that's really, at the end of the day, we just all want to be happier.
Yeah. I love that you've dedicated your life to that, because we are all just looking for a little more joy. And, when you have the tools now to share that and how to get to that place, and you're not hoarding them, like you're really trying to help all the rest of us, implement these things in our life. Because like volunteering or like giving back, a lot of people don't know how to do it. So to be that, beacon for them to now have the next steps is probably very validating for you as well.
It is. And I just thought about another one, positivity hack that I do, or I talk about, and I do when I'm feeling like in the dumps. I call it the magic doorway. And a lot of times we have it depends on the research, 6,000 to 10,000 thoughts every single day the average person has. They're not like conscious, tangible thoughts, more like subconscious, whatever. And as you can imagine, the majority of them are negative. And so one way to make them more positive and kind of supplement those negative ones with positive ones is to think positive thoughts. So a way to do it is the magic doorway. Whenever you walk through a door, say something nice to yourself. It takes 1 second, if not less than. And it could be something like, I made a good breakfast this morning. Damn, my ass is good in these pants today. Like my eyes popping. Like just something, some kind of, because we're always, I'm not going to say we're all, but the majority of us are guilty of negative self-talk, whether we realize it or not. But this forces you, every time you walk through a door, just say something quick, nice to yourself. And what I usually like to say, and if you're having a really tough day, find a lot of damn doors. I don't know what to tell you.
There are days where I need to go through many doors, Megan. Like,
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Back and forth and back and forth. But no, I love that tip too, because that is, I'll speak for myself. That is a very uncomfortable thing to do, is to compliment myself. And I think that we all need to get better at that, because if we can't be our own best advocate or own best friend or own like best supporter, like no one else can. Like we need to look inward first and kind of learn to love ourselves, fully. And so I think by practicing that door, going through the doors, it forces you to look at yourself in a better light, and not just look at all the things you're not doing, but looking at the things that you are doing. Because I know as an overachiever, like, you're always feeling like you're not doing enough, you're not good enough, you're not a good enough mom, you're not a good enough friend, you're not, and so if we think about all the things that we did well, like yesterday, I was a great friend, like I won't feel like I was a bad friend to the 10 other people that I didn't talk to yesterday, or whatever it is, or my kids. So
exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's a phenomenal thing we should all practice. I'm going to do that now. Today.
I was looking at a door when I was saying that. I'm like,
okay.
Dogs in the backyard. What am I going to tell myself? I'll probably be with the podcast. I had a great time with the podcast.
Yes. Well, definitely, because this has been such a joy. Hey, friends, it's Melissa. I want to talk to you about something that has been life-changing for me, therapy. I've personally used therapy, and I can tell you firsthand how powerful it is to have someone in your corner guiding you through life's challenges. That's why I'm proud that today's sponsor is BetterHelp, an online therapy service that makes it easy to get the help you or your family needs from the comfort of your own home. Whether you're struggling with stress, anxiety, or just need someone to talk to, BetterHelp is here for you. And for listeners of the Savvy Giving Gal podcast, you'll get 10% off your first month of therapy when you use our link in the description. Take that step towards a healthier you, because you're worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/savvy to get started today. As our conversation comes to an end, and I don't want it to come to an end ever, but
done? Yeah.
No, not yet. So I always ask my guests these last 3 questions. So I'm going to ask you. So what does it mean to you to be a community change maker?
Ooh. What does it mean to me to be I guess I first got to tell myself I'm a community change maker.
Yes. And you are. Yeah. I mean, I've watched you change the community of workout gear, and even honestly, like, not to take over the question, but, I watched what you did during COVID in terms of making masks, going to work right when no one knew what was happening, and making masks and distributing masks. And I mean, you're always a community change maker, but that I felt like struck a nerve with me in a great way. Like, I really respected you before, but in that moment, watching you just get to work to help people around you was a huge moment. I don't know if you want to share that and then maybe answer the question.
Yeah, I'll. Thank you for those kind words. That was a wild time. And actually, you even just saying that so kind of helped me shape my answer to that about community change maker. If there is a problem, I love to not only find a solution. And because I'm outgoing, I like to get the community around it to help, solve that problem. I realize that a lot of people want to help, they just don't know where to start. And so the face masks, for example, that I mentioned that anti-stink, antibacteria fabric that I invented, and not only was the fabric a really important part, but also it was 100% sourced and made here in the United States. Every thread, every fiber, every sewer, every piece of packaging. There was no plastic, and everything was made USA. And we launched in August of 2019, the apparel company. Well, COVID happened in March of 2020. And before becoming an entrepreneur, I worked in hospitals here in Houston for 14 years. So one of my advisors, my fashion advisors up in Jersey, she's like, Meg, her sister was a nurse in New York City during COVID, like right the first month. And she said, Meg, the CDC just came out last night and said, healthcare workers are running out of face masks. Why don't you take your fabric and turn it into face masks? And that's just something I just enjoy doing. I'm like, well, let's go. And it was definitely a wild time. A lot of my friends either in the restaurant. A lot of my friends like lost their jobs or, were old or whatever. And a lot of them didn't know each other. And so they would all come to my house. I mean, we would have like 25 people at the house, just pack. I didn't have an office, packing face masks, making them. And so, yeah, we got on contract with the military. The U.S. Navy, I found out from a friend, ordered 200. This is like bullshit, but U.S. Navy ordered 200,000 face masks in April of 2020, and they bought them, like cut the purchase order. And the people that were selling the face masks said, well, the heck with you. I know we have a contract. I found someone to pay more money. So now all these men and women that are away from their families being stationed in Hawaii, Virginia, and San Diego didn't have the face masks. And so I talked to the guy and he said, can you at least get 50,000 face masks delivered and landed in those 3 locations in 7 days? And being an entrepreneur, I said yes. And then I got off the phone, said a few Hail Marys, drank a bottle. I was like, so we ended up doing it in 6 days. That spread like wildfires from the Navy SEALs and the Marines, and they all came running to us for masks. But on top of that, that was more the business aspect, but also, I mean, it was a business, but it was for good. But the part that I really loved was everyone that worked for the team. We would always have we were round the clock working, but I would always take time to have them pack, packs of 50 or 100 and go and drop them off or mail them to whomever. So we donated to, I mean, probably 200,000 face masks to like orphanages, high school, hospitals. I mean, a girl on my team's a vet. So the vet hospital, the VA hospital, police station. So it was nice that these people are helping, and I'm paying them. It's a business per se, but they also got to experience the same product and then to gift it to somebody or a group that they really wanted to see experience them as well. So that was my favorite part.
Yeah. And that is what a community change maker does,
right?
So, so there's your answer right there. So how has helping others improved your own well-being?
Oh man, I mean, how does it help my own well-being? I think, let's see, if I had to say the top, this is like, I've never had this question, but the top 3 things that keep my well-being pretty high and great, of things that I do, therapy for sure. I found a great therapist. I could tell you another podcast, how my last therapist was not so great, but that wouldn't be on brand. So I have a great therapist. I volunteer a lot. This is actually something newer in my life. I surround myself with, wonderful people that I deem to be wonderful and supportive and loving. That's not what I always used to do. What I used to do is be a massive people pleaser. And what happened when I was doing that was I was letting these negative Nellies in my life. And that's I have this thing called the sphere of influence. And these negative Nellies would come in and I'd allow them to come in and drain space. And what do they say? Live rent free in my brain. But I made a conscious decision a few years ago when I was kind of going through an emotionally tough time about a few things. I'm like, okay, something has to change. And so I just started getting rid of negative Nancys in my life. So the people I surround myself with. And it's been weird because I've always loved having, I'll say 1,000 friends, but the older I get and the more I experience life is I'm blessed to have 3 ride or dies. I've definitely.
I'm going to go on a tangent on that because I've been talking about that. Yeah. I've been talking about that on the podcast, obviously, along with all the amazing things my guests are doing, because I think that has been such a game changer in my life and for the women that are around me, that you start to close that sphere up and you start to surround yourself with really positive, really loving, really honest. It's not like it's you're great all the time kind of thing, but it's the greatest value you can add to your life. And I'm just going to use girlfriends because I don't have a lot of male friends. It's just my personality, but I'm going to say girlfriends in your life, these people that just hold you tight, lift you up. Like they don't expect you to be positive all the time,
That's right.
And they are there to just make your life have more joy. And so I think you really only understand how important that is as you get older, because we're very similar, you and I used to have 1,000 acquaintances and I had to make everyone happy and be happy all the time around all of them and have this persona. And it has just been so freeing to now whittle that down to these just phenomenal women that I love so much.
That's right. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, you and I do have very similar personalities. So it's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting to try to please everybody. So that's something I'm working on now is not acknowledging when I'm doing something because am I doing something because I'm people pleasing or am I doing something because I really want to do it? And for years, I mean, if I'm 44, I'd say for 42 and a half years, I never asked myself that question. So now and I'm asking myself more now. And I'll tell you, that has brought a lot more peace and joy to my life.
Yes. Yeah. It's trusting that knowing inside you. I think it's just that voice and trusting that, you are doing what's good for you and that's okay. Exactly. So, anyway, sorry for the tangent, listeners. Lastly, can you suggest one small act of kindness our listeners can incorporate in their daily lives?
I mean, obviously like 10 just came in my head, but there's only one.
Yeah. Well, you could say 2 or 3.
If I only could give one, I would say a small act of kindness would be to tell yourself something kind about yourself. That would be my first one. And then a small one, very easy, is compliment a stranger.
Yeah.
But to start with yourself, which is the most challenging and probably the most uncomfortable, is to start with the kindness towards yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It starts with you because if you feel good and positive and happy and you feel that kindness, I'm sure that this is part of, what you say to all the people looking for your help is like, you'll just naturally exude that out to the people around you,
exactly.
So I loved this conversation so much. Can you share with our listeners where they can connect with you?
Sure. It's very simple. Probably email. I mean, I have Instagram, but the easiest way to get a hold of me is just email. It's Megan, Megan, at meganeddings.com. So Megan, and then eddings.com. And people are like, wait, what's the last name again? So my mother-in-law said it's weddings without the W. So Megan. Okay. Megan at meganeddings.com. You knew me when I was Doucette, so that's my maiden name.
Yes. I wanted to say that like every time I introduced you or said your name, but I was like, oh, it's not that anymore.
Trust me, I still respond to Dewey, Doucette, like all, Megan at Megan Eddings. And then I'm on LinkedIn a lot because of my other job. Okay. But so I think that's probably the easiest. Megan at meganeddings.com.
Okay, I love it. Megan, thank you so much for sharing all these amazing tips and your story and just being such a light for everyone listening.
Oh, well, thank you, Melissa. It's a blast seeing you, catching up. I mean, we haven't spoken in live, if you will, since I was 17. And, we're both basically about 105 right now. So years ago. No.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
And I know it's not easy for putting this podcast together with the intention of, bringing joy and love and, light to all of your listeners. Because podcasts are not easy to do and you have to stay on it and it's not easy. It's not easy. It takes a village. And so thank you for putting in the work and making the sacrifice for the betterment for the world.
Oh, thank you. I love that. I appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
Coming to fill up my cup.
Thank you for listening to the show. I hope it sparks a desire in you to dedicate even a small slice of your life to uplifting others. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow me on Instagram at SavvyGivingGal. You can also visit my website at SavvyGivingGal.com. Let's spread positivity together.